big first quarter from the Bucks early on, but this was the story. The Bucks had played good defense, but if the Suns got a look from three, they cashed it. Jay Crowder, Booker. What a disparity with the Bucks doing a whole lot of work in the paint, mainly due to Giannis with 20, but the Suns getting 24 points. He goes up and gets Booker at the rim, but it ends up in the hands of Ayton. He gets the flush. Giannis trying to get his defense, but they're running all over the floor. Nothing they could do. Suns with an 11-point lead at the break. Giannis, spectacular to start the second half. That's a shot that keeping them within arm's length. Giannis with 20 in the third. That's the most points in an NBA 5-point game. Giannis a little bit slow to get up. Pat Connaughton lands on his foot on the great look. Ayton with the lay-in. Again, Bucks close. Can't get close enough because Booker knocks down another three. They had 20 in this game. And the Valley roaring their approval. Devin Booker getting some love from Dwayne Wade when it's done. Giannis, 42 in a losing effort. Book goes for 31. The Suns have a 2-0 series lead. The 23-pointers, a new franchise record for a playoff game. All 4 games on this list have occurred this postseason, all coming against 4 different opponents. As you might surmise, they are 4-0 in those games. We are joined by Stephen A. Smith in the Valley. Stephen A., I'll get your thoughts in just a moment. Tim Legler here in studio. And Tim, as you're watching the game in Tony's office here, it's your office. Tony's never coming back to the building. As you're watching this game tonight unfold, a lot of different ways you could go for the theme. What's the main storyline for you?
It's that the Bucks, look, they came with it. They played hard tonight. They made the adjustments defensively. They pursued Chris Paul and Devin Booker. They fought over screens. They put Drew Holiday on Chris Paul. Just like all the things I said after game one they should do, they did. And yet, Scott, you looked up after the early onslaught by the Bucks, and they're trailing in the first quarter at some point. And then 3 straight 30-point quarters by the Suns, despite the fact that I felt like the Bucks were competing. Every time a ball was deflected, it came off the glass, there were bodies on the floor. The Phoenix Suns ended up with it, and then they got points out of it. They converted it. I mean, back-breaking type plays when you've got the Bucks laying it on the line defensively and not coming up with those balls, the Suns would not only get it, they would then move it out of that and make the Bucks continue to chase them. I just thought the connection that the Suns had offensively tonight was special. That's how you make 23s in a game. There's such a trust level on that team that if it's my turn, it's coming my way, and you can guarantee if it's your turn and I have it, it's going to come to you when you're supposed to get it. That, to me, summed up the way the Suns played the last 3 quarters. 3 straight 30-point quarters on a night when I feel like the Bucks played pretty well defensively for the most part. That's kind of scary for Milwaukee going forward.
That's how it felt here watching it. Stephen A. Smith there in the building. How would you describe what you saw from a Bucks team that, as Tim said, gave everything, but the Suns team constantly had the answers? That's awfully impressive given that this is their first playoff run together. What'd you see?
Well, I don't disagree with what Tim Legler, the great Tim Legler, pointed out. What I would challenge him on, however, is what he left out. Yes, they came in with a game plan. They made the necessary adjustments to start game 2. But obviously, if you're Budenholzer, you're going up against Monty Williams and a coach on the floor in CP3 who hit about 50% of his shots, finished with 23 points, 8 assists, even though he turned the ball over 6 times. You see Devin Booker hitting shots early, okay, from 3-point range, and assistant coaches are looking to talk to Budenholzer, and Budenholzer's not even listening to them, okay? He's not making any in-game adjustments. That was a pivotal problem as far as I'm concerned. We can look at Drew Holiday and no 7 for 21 shooting. He was absolutely awful offensively. Middleton, he really needs to look in the mirror. When Pat Connaughton has more points than you coming off the bench, he had 14, you had 11, even though you took 6 more shots. That's incredibly problematic. You waste an effort from Giannis Antetokounmpo, who was nothing short of sensational, and primarily because you didn't make the necessary in-game adjustments. It's like any time you throw a monkey wrench into the plan that Budenholzer had coming into it, then he seems to be a bit flummoxed. And I thought that was a problem tonight. They couldn't make the necessary adjustments. And by the way, guys, Tim Legler, me, Scott Van Pelt, none of us mentioned Mikal Bridges. 27 points tonight and 7 rebounds. And he hit about 50% of his shots as well. They probably didn't count on that. That hurt him, but they let Devin Booker get off early, find his rhythm, find his groove. They did very little about that until it really mattered most. And at the end of the day, it cost them.
Well, Bridges is going to have an opportunity to be talked about as he will join us here momentarily off a spectacular performance. And I wonder, Tim, as you hear Stephen A. describe the adjustments that Budenholzer made to start but didn't make here, it's a make-miss league. I mean, I feel like the Bucks played awfully good defense, but they got chasing, and that one sequence we showed on 10 passes, I don't know how they could have been any better. Yeah,
to Stephen A's point, and he's right about this, when they go watch the film tomorrow, if there is one thing that they never really adjusted to was an overcommitment to dribble penetration. You don't need to flood 3-4 guys to the lane on dribble penetration against Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges. You don't. You've got length at the rim with Brook Lopez and Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's where the Bucks came up small. Too many guys flooding to the paint, and watch how many times in this game you'd have a drive from the right wing and a kick to the left corner because they're floating to the corner off of that penetration.
Right.
Mike Budenholzer actually said it at his end of quarter interview. If there's one thing I saw in the first quarter, I think we're over-helping on penetration. They never really adjusted to that.
Right.
This is a team that 16 made threes through 3 quarters, had 4 more in the fourth. That really put the game away with some real daggers when the Bucks made it close.
Stephen A., you and I, we made a mistake a couple of years ago. With this Bucks team, they had a 2-0 series lead on Toronto. And you and I, on this show, we used the term wrap. We were incorrect. I'm not asking you if this is a wrap, but based on what you've seen in these 2 games in Phoenix, what would have to happen for you to believe that something other than the Suns winning 2 more games in this series is going to happen?
Well, Giannis has to get some help offensively from the backcourt, whether it's Jrue Holiday or Middleton. Both of them are being paid exorbitant amount of dollars to show up when it counts. And they've been non-existent as far as I'm concerned on the offensive end of the floor. That would be one thing. Another thing is attack DeAndre Ayton. Remember, Dario Saric has torn his ACL, okay? And now tonight, Craig goes down, and he's got an injury as well. They're very thin on their front line. The Milwaukee Bucks are effective on their front line offensively. Attack the interior. Get Ayton out of there and make Phoenix go considerably small. So when you go small as the Milwaukee Bucks, you're still big because you got Giannis at the 5. This, to me, is something that they should be doing. And it's very simple. I'm not going to call it a wrap. We're not going to make the same mistake, SVP, that we made a couple of years ago against Toronto. But I will tell you this. You better win these 2 games. Because if you only win one, I'm not going to disrespect them by assuming they're going to get swept. But if you don't win both of these games in Milwaukee, this series is going to end in 5 right here in Phoenix, and Phoenix is going to capture the championship. Milwaukee's got to go back. They got to win both games. They got to stop worrying about sending out petitions to keep people like me from coming to town. And instead, what they need to do is put forth the petitions against their coach and players and say, rise to the occasion and get it done, because we got a lot on the line here. They've got to play better. They've got to play better defensively, and your guards, who are making a lot of money, in Jrue Holiday and Middleton, who both can play the game. They're not scrubs. You got to show up, and Giannis shouldn't have to be on the sideline imploring you to step it up. You should know automatically that's what you're supposed to be doing. It's the damn finals. It's the NBA finals. This ain't a regular season game. It's on the line. They got to show up.
The point that Stephen A. makes about Saric being injured and Craig going out is interesting, because I felt like we heard I felt like both Van Gundy and Jackson pointed out there was a fatigue level that evidenced itself at times with the Suns. Again, they had every answer, but at some point that depth, which was a luxury for this Suns team, is going to become, I don't want to say a weakness, but it's not a luxury anymore. The fatigue does feel like it could be a factor moving forward for the Suns team based on the absence of certainly Saric. We'll wait to find out about Craig.
Yeah, defensively, no question. They're going to be very thin up front. I'm not even sure what their solution is going to be when they have to give DeAndre Ayton a blow now. They're not going to play Kaminsky a lot of minutes, so it's no question. Monty Williams has more buttons to push now as they go forward. The problem is this, though. When you look at the Suns' role players, and you look at a guy like Bridges, who is a role player on this team, has 27 points. The reason that these guys have these kind of nights is because the ball is shared to such an extent that the looks that they get, the quality of the shot, shots that they take, they always stay in their lane. And it just makes guys play with an enormous amount of confidence and comfort zone. They don't have to try to do anything outside of themselves. And Bridges was pretty good tonight putting the ball on the floor, which he normally doesn't do. But it all stems from the fact that their role players are confident because Chris Paul and Devin Booker are controlling the game. Those guys are going to get great opportunities. And right now they're capitalizing, and the Bucks stars are not playing well.
Tim Legler, we'll get more from you a little bit later. Stephen A. Smith, quickly, going to get to Coach Bud. Go ahead, quickly, Stephen A.
I just want to chime in with what Tim Legler just pointed out that Phoenix does offensively, Milwaukee's not doing. They're not sharing the basketball. They're not trusting one another. They're not creating a lot of movement without the basketball, which is making it easier for Phoenix to defend them even when they're shorthanded because you're not challenging them. That's the problem.
Outscored by 33 from three. That's going to be a hard math equation to make up for. You start the day early and you stay up late. First take coming in the morning, Stephen A. As always, the time's appreciated, my friend.
My man. See y'all later.
All right. Stephen A. Smith, Tim Legler. Thanks, Tim. You'll be back in a minute. Coach Bud with thoughts on falling in this 0-2 hole.